In this video, we're going to take a look at the new integration with Argo Rollouts for CloudBees CD. So if you're not familiar with Argo Rollouts, it's a controller that you can install in your Kubernetes cluster that gives you some advanced ways for doing progressive rollouts, whether that's through blue-green deployments or canary deployments. It also has things like experimentation capabilities and analysis using integrations with APM tools. It has quite a rich set of capabilities for doing deployments in Kubernetes. So let's take a look at how this works. Being a controller, Argo Rollouts relies on some custom resource definitions, which if you're not familiar with custom resource definitions, it's just another type of resource. Just like you have pods and you have deployments, stateful sets, all of this in Kubernetes out of the box, you can extend them with additional ones. And so, for instance, one of them is a rollout. And what we can do here with this custom resource definition here, the rollout, inside of my Helm chart here is define what the process is going to be whenever I have a new version of my application that I'm trying to roll out. I'm defining, in this case, I have 5 replicas, and I'm defining the strategy as a canary deployment. And I can just define the set of steps that I have. I want to first start rolling out to 20%, which in this case is just 1 replica. And then it's going to pause, and it's going to wait until some manual approval occurs. Then it's going to go up to 40%, and then wait 10 seconds, and continue until it's all the way at 100%. So it's very flexible. This is a simple example. However, it does have the ability to include things like analysis based on Prometheus data, Datadog data, all sorts of APM tools where you can identify what the success criteria is for when this should roll out or when it should fail and roll back. In the future, we'll do deeper dives in these topics. So let's see this in action. Here's my microservice application. I've got just this simple front-end application. It has a Helm chart that I'm using. And if we go to the configuration here, there's nothing too special. We actually have a full video on setting up microservice applications, so go check that out if you want to go through that. And I'm just pointing at a Git repo, and I'm choosing the Helm chart that's inside the Git repo. Then I'm adding some values for things like the ingress definition, but specifically here, we've got this parameter for the app version. And this is really the main thing here, which is it needs to identify that the previous version is different from what we're installing next. So as you can see, there's really no custom configuration that we need to do on the CD side. It's just a matter of having Argo pre-installed in your cluster and making sure that your Helm chart has that rollout definition. With that in place, we could just click deploy, but more likely you're going to have this as part of one of your release processes. All right, so we'll just create a new release. So if I click create new, let's call this Argo release. We'll choose default, and we can just leave these default settings here. That's fine. Create a new pipeline. And we'll just add a simple task. So this will be deploy application. Select the task type, and we're just going to do a deployer step. Define that. We can just leave the default of serial. And so now, to get this to work, we need to go to the apps menu, and I'll choose my insurance app. That's good. And then we'll go to the environments and configurations. And now I just need to map. Choose the environment. In this case, I can choose the insurance QA app that it was mapped to. Choose the process of deploying the application. And for the parameters, in this case, we've got 2 options, 0.1, which is what's already installed, or choose 0.2. And as I had mentioned, we're going to have a manual approval. So I'm going to define this as the admin needs to be the approver. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now let's kick this off. So now we can see the application is just waiting on the deployment here. And so here you can see that we actually had a pod that was just started, happened very quickly. And now we can see the deployment strategy. And if I go to path to production, typically we just see the versions that are installed, but in this case, I can actually see that there was the canary. And if I click into that, we get the detail here of what the actual version is. So we can see it's going from 0.1 to 0.2, and the actual traffic is set to 20%. You can get the details if we expand that. There you go. And so as we roll this out, we're going to see this is going to continue to increase. So if we go back to my pipeline run, response required, and here's that manual step. So I could put in a message, looks good to me, proceed. Now if we go back to that path to production, you can see we're up to 40%. And every 10 seconds, this is going to continue. So as you can see, it's a very simple way of operating. If you're used to using CDRO, really you're not doing anything different. It's just now we're able to surface this information coming out of Argo rollouts, and you're able to get all the advantages of these advanced rollout strategies. For now, I think it's a good place to wrap up. If you're already using CloudBees CDRO and you want to check it out, you can look at the docs that I've linked down below. Or if you're interested in CloudBees CDRO, come check us out at cloudbees.com for more information.